Now for Mike Boland and the Future Stars.
Thanks, Peter. So as these guys shuffle up on stage, you guys can actually come on up. Who's heard the Twitter news? A few people over here. So Twitter just announced, actually on Twitter, that it's filed its S1 to go public. And it's looking like it's going to be a valuation in the range of about $15 to $20 billion. But expect a hailstorm of speculation and news and everything around that over the coming days, including some from BIA-Kelsey. And I'm sure our valuations group will have a lot of things to say about that as that draws nearer. So interesting news just to start off the session. So first off, what we're doing here is some of you may have participated or voted in our Future Stars competition over the last day and a half. And we have 3 finalists, which are Local Viewpoints, Local Brain, and Upring. So first, round of applause for the finalists. And we also have 2 judges here. So what we're going to do is hear from each of these companies one by one, and then we're going to have kind of a Shark Tank-like kind of session. How many of you watch Shark Tank? A good handful. So we actually tried to get Mark Cuban to be involved, but so what we're going to do is we're going to steal the trademark for the show anyway without his involvement. So a few things first before we have Gib kick it off. We're going to introduce our judges in a second, but before that we're going to hear from Jeremy Mims from Own Local. And Jeremy is an Austin-based person and very much kind of in the spirit of this entire startup community and this great town that's hosting us. So please join me in welcoming Jeremy. He has a few things to say.
Thanks, everybody. So my name is Jeremy Mims. I'm the co-founder of a company called Own Local. We are the digital ad agency for local media. We do a whole lot automatically. We actually work with more than 400 local media organizations to power about 60,000 businesses. So when we were building our company, we actually decided to deliberately come to Austin. So if you are a tech startup, this is a great place to be. It's very supportive. It's a great place to raise money. It's a great place to find an environment that's actually very inspiring. So part of the role that I have up here is to just lend our support and advice and connections to any startup that's pitching here today and to wish them good luck. Some advice for you all: ask for help always. Always charge your customers if you're doing valuable work for them. And don't be afraid to reach out to startups and people like me. So we're here to help if you're a startup. And if you are a local media company, I guess we could help you guys too. So come find me after.
So you'll be available at the reception and through the rest of the day? And
I'll be around,
okay.
And then if you find me, you might end up with an invitation to a super secret after-hours party tonight.
That's good motivation right there. Well, thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
You can take that back to the guys in the back. So now quick introductions for our judges, and then Gib, I know you're waiting patiently to give your presentation. So why don't you guys self-introduce? You first, Randy.
Sure. My name's Randy Parker. I have been working with startups for my entire career, so it's really great to see the future stars we have here, and I congratulate all of them for bravely announcing new products and doing all that out there. I work a lot with mentoring startups and doing judging like this. My background is in working entirely with the very small business for 20 plus years, including at Constant Contact, which I started in the mid-90s, and then most recently with PagePart, which we're trying to unlock that bottom of the pyramid, sort of the next 10 million very small businesses with a completely automated platform, automating mobile and web presence, advertising, and advice form. So if you're a big company looking to get in with the tiniest business, come see me.
Thank you, Randy. Dave?
Hi, I'm Dave Walker, and I'm the founder of BizHive. Some of you know me from my past life. My last gig, I founded a company called Geomentum. We're the largest hyperlocal media and marketing agency in the country, over $2 billion in billings. We worked with Walmart and Home Depot and Walgreens and OfficeMax and many others. And having worked with big brands basically my entire life, I started to recognize that there was a huge opportunity to bring some of those resources and capabilities to small businesses and use the web as a tool basically to deliver to small businesses some of the sophistication of planning and insight. So BizHive is very simply a marketing marketplace for small businesses. We help small businesses learn about, shop, and buy new media, new marketing products and services. We give them free expert advice, free peer reviews, free price guides, free price quotes from many suppliers who are actually represented in this room, who are terrific partners of ours who fill out our marketplace. So that's it.
Thanks, Dave. So before you go, Gib, just one more kind of housekeeping note. The voting is open now, and until 9 o'clock tonight. And this is a second round of voting. So the first round chose these 3 finalists. If you already voted, you can vote again in this second round, which goes up until 9 p.m. tonight. We'll announce the winner tomorrow morning, and we'll go from there. So with that, Gib, take it away.
Okay, hi, Gib Olander with Local Viewpoints. We're a new startup company. We started writing code in October, and we started selling to businesses in April. So I'll give you kind of the little background on the why we are who we are. So we talked to a lot of local business owners, and we asked them what the best form of advertising is. And across the board, they came back and said word of mouth. The second thing that we asked them was, what's the most valuable thing that you have? And across the board, they said it was their customer base. So we invented a tool that helped them get more value from their existing customers. So we do that with a customer feedback platform that creates actionable customer insights and generates digital word of mouth in the form of online reviews in a 60-second survey that can be done on your phone immediately after purchase. So there's one last kind of piece of the puzzle, and that's the infographic that I've got showing you right now, which is that 90% of us use ratings and reviews to make buying decisions when looking for local businesses. However, only 6% of us ever take time to write ratings and reviews. So that disconnect is what really created the opportunity for Local Viewpoints to use a 60-second customer satisfaction survey with no typing required that generates a review through natural language processing. So I'm going to show you real quickly what that looks like. So it starts with a simple question that's yes, no answer. Yes answer is a 5-star, no answer is a 4-star, and alert is sent directly to the business owner. So the next thing that we ask is the unique buying criteria by that industry. In this case, we're selecting value, work, and service. We ask one follow-up question of that because we know value doesn't mean the same thing to everything. The other thing that's happening here is these are actually our nouns in our criteria as well, and the yes-no question is our verb. So what about the value did we like? In this case, it was expensive but worth it, and they offered us great discounts. We move on to the next say, what did we like about the work? It was the fact that they went above and beyond and were completed quickly. What did we like about the service? We liked that they were friendly and knowledgeable. Now, we asked what you liked about the service and why you recommended them on the first pass. So now we want to find out, are you neutral or negative about these other important buying criteria for the industry that you're in? And so in this particular case, I'm going to say I'm a little bit negative about facilities. By not selecting anything, I'm identifying that I'm neutral about the convenience for this particular location. What did I not like? It was dirty. So then the next thing that we can do is we offer the customer to give you unsolicited or unstructured data feedback. And in this case, I've written a suggestion in there for you guys. But for this particular test business, the opportunity would be that this unstructured data goes directly to a private inbox, and I'll show you where that represents itself soon. But where we provide the magic and what our patent pending technology does is we take those same survey selections that you've made and we can generate over 2 billion different reviews that represent the customer experience statement that just took place after the business. The survey link only appears to customers after an invitation is sent by the business owner, and they do that either through in-store signage, email, text messages, QR codes, NFC tags. There's a host of ways to get that location-specific, industry-specific survey link into their customers' hands. So we write that review, they're able to sign their review, and then we offer them a chance to share that review. And currently 22% of all the reviews that are completed within the Local Viewpoints platform are being shared across Facebook or Twitter, which helps grow the overall presence of the business. So that's one side of our proposition. That's how we do it. So now you've heard why we do it, right? Which is customers value word of mouth marketing, and digital word of mouth is in the form of reviews. Customer feedback is really important to growing their business. So what do they end up getting from us within that context, right? So they end up with a dashboard that looks like this, where because of the structured data approach and only 60 seconds of the customer's time, they can start to identify the areas that are important to their customers and what they can do about it. So in this particular case, the facilities are starting to index lower than the rest of their facilities on their network. So in this particular test auto place, we take a look at the facilities. We want to find out why. Turns out the location is dirty. So a regional manager can take a look at this data and he can call into the place and lead in some training. So some of the things like live customer data that we have here, we've got a 98% recommendability rate for a children's dentistry place. So we've got good reviews, we're finding out the information, but what we wanted to get is some of that unstructured data that we've collected as well and find out what's coming in there, but we kept this offline. So this place was found a really important piece of information that some of the customers get scared before they go in and that they should allow their parents in with it. Right? That's an impactful thing for a dentist to learn about their patients. River North Gym on the other side, they're doing fantastic. They've gotten 84 84 responses in just a couple of weeks. But the one area that they're not getting a lot of love in is in the sessions. And so we wanted to find out more. We dig into that. We start to look at the information that they're getting. And you can start to see there's a trend that comes up in the data and the feedback from the customers, and that is that they should be open on the weekends and that they need to improve their classes. Right? That starts to improve their ability to manage their business and improves their bottom line because they get more value from their customers. Keep them coming back more. In some cases, we're able to find that they're charging too much or too little based on the value proposition of one location over the other. The last thing that we do, or not the last thing, but one of the other things that we do, is we take that same data that we've done and we've created for the zero moment of truth a conversion tool. So by getting ratings and reviews and search results in a much easier way, that those star ratings start to show up, and you give the ability for someone, when they do a brand name geospecific search, some of the information they need to make a buying decision, right? So 90% of us use ratings and reviews for that buying decision. It's a concept of social media or earned media or social proof shows up in the search results, right? If Mike gives me a recommendation of a dentist, I know Mike knows a lot about local media and more about mobile than anybody else in the room, but on the same side, I don't know what he knows about kids' teeth, right? So I'm going to do a search for children's dentistry when he does that, and I'm going to see if other people have said that it's a good place to go, and we get that ranking for them. River North Gym, we did the same thing. They now have 84 responses and are ranking. Another great story that we can tell about this is Papa John's Pizza. So Papa John's Pizza, and I mean, we're in Chicago. This particular Papa John's Pizza has been in business for 8 years. If you know Chicago, pizza's a big deal. People don't write reviews about pizza, Papa John's Pizza in Chicago, right? You gotta talk about the cool place. So they generated 14 reviews in 8 years. On local viewpoints, in a matter of 2.5 months, they were able to generate 49 reviews, and a better reflection of how this Papa John's relates to the other Papa John's. You understand what their service is, you understand what their value is, and for Papa John's Pizza, this is a really good win for them and a more fair representation of their customers. So those are really the value propositions. It's a 60-second mobile optimized survey that we have patent pending technology that turns that actionable feedback into location-specific insights and digital word of mouth. So it helps you grow your existing customer base and attract and convert new customers at a higher level. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Gib. So stick with us for a second. Judges, your reactions and or questions.
Porpoise Tank, not Shark Tank. Gib, I think this is it's a really cool concept. I found myself wanting to have a really good sense of the magnitude of the problem that you're solving. I think that starting with a problem statement, a headache that you're solving, and really quantifying it in the form of a commercial opportunity, as in, this is what bad Yelp reviews cost small businesses.
Great.
And their inability to fix a bad Yelp review is costing them real money.
Yep.
And what you represent is a tool that can potentially help them really get good reviews into the ecosystem out there, in the search ecosystem, and really help them negate what might be some bad reviews. Because people tend to go to these sites to write bad reviews. You're creating this opportunity for people, a really easy opportunity to write good reviews, which is so important to small businesses.
Thank you, and I think you've got it right, and it really goes back to that initial stat that I talked about. 6% of people write reviews, and it's on the either end of the spectrum, right? It's when you're really motivated and you're ticked off, and we call that the protector, right? The protector wants to provide feedback, and that's one of the personas. So when they start to push that feedback out there, they're angry, they're frustrated, they're not the typical customer, right?
Right.
So essentially, we're making it easy for the 94% of your customers that are generally happy with your service to provide feedback in a public way and become advocates for your business. Now, if every piece of review and feedback is published either internally or externally, so there's no governor on that, but the scores are much higher because we've reduced the barrier to entry to give that feedback to the business owner with a simple survey.
And that would lead to, I would change the order of your story.
Okay.
I would put the impact you have on search results and improving their presence in the marketplace, and put the dashboard and improved customer service behind that.
Okay.
Because I think the bigger dollar value is actually in helping them win customers and grow sales with
Thanks.
better reviews.
Thanks.
Yeah, great. Gib, I love the space. I think the opportunity to disrupt in reviews is there. The part that was missing for me was, and this happens with a lot of startups, is you got to tell me the specifics of who opens the wallet, when, how much. Walk me
Great.
through that process, because at the end of the day, this is
Absolutely.
a business, not just a product.
Absolutely. So we have an inside sales force. Like we said, we sold to 350 locations now. Our target market is multiple location businesses. So we think of the world as rabbit, elephant, and deer, and like a deer is kind of the perfect fit. So it's between 5 and 500 location businesses are kind of the target market. We charge a seat license. It's software as a service business model. It's a $299 annual license per location with a $49 setup fee. Or $29 a month per location. So our average contract sale now has been trending closer to about $6,000 per contract that our salespeople have been able to bring in, and we continue to move that up market. We manage our business very closely on a cost of acquisition model. So we are at the year one value of a customer is at $303, and we've got our cost of acquisition down to $301. We can see very easily where we get that down to $225 in a very short period of time. Probably even maybe next month I'll be at that number, as long as we hit some of the pipeline that we have today. And we've sold companies like Harry and David is now using the platform for all of their locations. Bright Horizons Education has now brought 50 of their locations on a pilot. And we've added, a handful of furniture stores, small regional chains like Grand Appliance and Room Place, and we have customers in 31 of the 50 states.
Gib, question from over here. Clear marketing angle that I think is pretty powerful. Is there also room to add a kind of operational utility for small businesses in that it's a feedback tool? I mean,
that's exactly.
But my question is, taking that angle forward, is there room for a prescriptive component?
Yep.
For, you have a dirty location, like the example you showed. Is there a way to kind of, I don't know, now what? A prescriptive element to add on top of that,
it's exactly
in your roadmap.
There. It's actually there, and it's starting to come to life in our multi-location business. So there's 3 different things that we can do for those multi-locations. One, we can almost make some gaming mechanics on what's your customer satisfaction score at each of those locations and why is one lower than the other. So we've got a Papa John's pizza chain that have 7 locations that are working with us, and one of them is scoring significantly lower. We talked to the owner. The owner actually goes out and retrained the management, and actually one manager was actually fired because his score was significantly lower than the others. The other thing that we can do is that we have industry-specific trees. So the decision-making criteria that the customers have given us, we can create the actual national index, right, for all the chiropractors, whether they're part of the same group or not, and then we can show you your plus and minuses above and below those averages. And that data becomes really powerful for business managers to say, hey, we're trending below value in this area. Are we mispriced? Do we have to do others? Now, they have other ways to get that data as well, but we're a real-time solution that comes immediately after the purchase to give them insights as they go forward.
And I think the best takeaway is that people are getting fired because of the product.
Right. Hopefully somebody's getting promoted as well.
Right, that'll hopefully
I haven't heard that story yet. One of the great stories that came from the insights piece was Olympia Chiropractor works with us, and a case study that we have is that they got the feedback that some of their patients were actually becoming bored with the exercises. And they're a per patient visit business model, right? So they make $150 per patient visit, and they're driving to an outcome. So they were trending at 6 visits per patient. They got this piece of feedback that people were getting bored. They then had a training meeting to show what things to look for to train up the exercise in the rehab program. Have it increased their per patient visit to 8 now, which is like a $300 value per patient within the clinic. So a 33% increase in per patient value for one business offsets the $1 a day that it costs them to run the program.
Okay. That's great. So we need to move on, but thank you, Gib. Join me in thanking Gib. Next up, we have Brian Gans from Local Brain. Brian, why don't you come on up? As Brian is coming up here, I'll also mention, I realized back here we don't have the voting instructions. I mentioned it goes till 9, but I didn't say how you actually vote. The email address is liftoffawards@biakelsey.com. I'll repeat that a few times too after each speaker. But again, that's liftoffawards, plural, @biakelsey.com. It'd be great if you can just put who you're voting for in the subject line, or within the body, but in the subject line makes us easier to count it. So Brian, take it away. Oh yes, you need a clicker, I apologize.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, I'm Brian Gams. I'm co-founder and CTO of Local Brain. Thanks for having us here today. We're excited to be here and be up on the stage and be able to tell you a little bit about what we're doing. All right. So I want to jump right into it. Technologists often don't get to be on the big stage, so I want to take the most of my opportunity and get right into what we're actually trying to accomplish. We all know that one of the best times to engage people is when they're actually in a store. And what Local Brain is all about is maximizing that opportunity. And we maximize that opportunity by delivering targeted promotions, opportunities, offers, information to consumers right when they walk into a business. The way we accomplish that is with an app on somebody's phone and with a Bluetooth low energy transponder in the location. Let me give you a use case for where this is helpful and useful. Imagine that I'm at a coffee shop, right? I go into my coffee shop every single day. I spend $2.35 on a coffee. That's it. I'm in and out, $2.35, done. Imagine that I've got the Local Brain app and the coffee shop is subscribing to the service. They can deliver me, right when I walk in, a coupon that says, hey Brian, it's $1 off a pastry today, maybe you'd like to get a pastry. Suddenly, I'm a little bit hungry, I'm a little peckish, I'm gonna get one of those delightful sticky buns and walk out of there with it. The merchant has just increased their basket size by a significant amount, increased their revenue, and they've captured the data that I'm there, I'm a customer, I bought a pastry. You can do lots of interesting things with that. The question is, how do you actually get this app into people's hands, right? It's easy enough, in theory, to build a nice platform for delivering promotions and offers to people, but a real problem is getting distribution. We could spend an awful lot of money on Google AdWords, build our own marketing staff, do all kinds of things like that. That's not our opening bid for how we're going to approach this. What we want to do is work with local media companies, folks that have their own brand, that have their own advertisers, their own customers, and have a presence in the community. We really believe that the idea of local, people want to shop local, they want to buy local, they want to support their local communities. We think that's powerful. And so we want to work with these media companies to build a local club in their area powered by the Local Brain. The idea, the revenue model, is that it's a subscription service. The merchant subscribes to the local club, branded under the local media company's name, and pays fees to that reseller, who then splits the revenue with us. So what's in it for the consumer? In addition to just getting the delightful coupon for $1 off a sticky bun, we can deliver a lot of other things to them. We can deliver them content. We can deliver them coupons based on things that the business wants to promote. So for example, the business may be trying to move inventory. They want to give a discount on a particular product. They want to encourage people to come back later. So they can deliver an offer that's designed that, hey, come in next week. Or we can have people play a game, get a variable offer, get into that nice variable reward scheme. And finally, we have the opportunity for people to actually be added to a wait list. So we have the capability, if you're walking up to the front door of a restaurant, to get a notice on your phone saying, hey, would you like to be added to the wait list? Don't wait in that long line to get to the little sign-up book or talk to the person. Just tell us how many people there are in your party. Give us your mobile phone number. We'll text you when your table's going to be ready. You're good to go. What do the businesses get out of this? Obviously, they get the opportunity to do all these wonderful promotions and start assembling all of this data. We know that data is really incredibly useful. There are lots of things you can do with it in order to better target these promotions. And one of the things you're going to be able to get out of this is knowing more about what your customers are actually doing. Who are your loyal customers? What are they up to? When are they coming in? And you're going to be able to start using that data to do interesting things using the Local Brain platform. Which sort of gets us to our big idea, which is that we want to take the capabilities that many large merchants and retailers are using. Think about the Walmarts and the CVSs and guys like that are spending vast amounts of money building innovative and interesting marketing campaigns. We want to help small businesses get some of those same capabilities at a much lower price point. And because we're dealing with a local club, a network of business, we can even do things that are hard for some of those big guys. For example, we can do effective cross-shopping. If I know that people who who go to this coffee store happen to like this dress, often shop at this dress store, say, a boutique clothing merchant, we can help the boutique clothing merchant send offers to those people that aren't their customers that ought to be their customers based on other behavior, in addition to helping them increase basket size and do all the other things that I've already mentioned. The bottom line is that by using presence in the store, using our Bluetooth low energy technology, we can enable a bunch of different interesting things and use that as a springboard to bring a broad array of capabilities to these merchants. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. Judges, feel free to jump in.
Sure. I guess the first thing that isn't clear to me is the pain. I think the technology's cool. I think there's a lot of nice pieces there. But with the small business, particularly the smaller merchant, just being a vitamin isn't good enough. You've got to be Tylenol. You know, what's the pain that this is solving for them? Why somebody's going to sign up first time you talk to them or when your partners are talking to them?
Yeah, it's a great question. Obviously, that is always the $64,000 question with small businesses. And I think that what these guys really want to do is get the most out of all these digital products. We know that they kind of know and are paying for things like Facebook and Google AdWords and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But to a large degree, that spend is intangible. They don't get anything necessarily. They go on Google AdWords and look for their ad and it's not even there. People don't necessarily understand it. But what we're offering them the opportunity to do is see very directly and tangibly what happens. Are people coming in? Are those people redeeming coupons? What are they doing? And I think that for a lot of these merchants, they've got this big digital spend, which isn't necessarily all that well quantified. And I think that in addition to, I think that there's going to be a feedback response from consumers when they say, oh, wow, this is awesome. Lots of times I go into a place, I don't know they have a loyalty program. I don't know that they have coupons. I've got my head down. I'm doing whatever. I don't know about it. I'd actually like to know about it. I'd actually like to know that some of those things exist. If they just tell me, I think that gives sort of a very tangible payoff to the merchant.
I have very similar kind of reaction that you really on the what's truly the pain point that's being solved. But I actually was stuck on the distribution model and how you intend to scale the business and using. And I hope I don't get too many boos and hisses from the audience. But are you really going to use newspapers as partners to be your sales agents? Because I think that newspapers have enough challenges in selling their own products and taking on another product that even if they make money on it in a rev share basis, I'd really like to see some evidence that this is something that the local media partners that you envision being your distribution chain are really ready, willing, and able to do that for you.
Definitely. So newspapers, radio stations, TV, I think it's a great story. These guys have penetration, they have presence in the community, people who know who they are and would like to support them. So in theory, it sounds great, but you're right, we got to prove it out. And that's frankly why we're at this show. We've met some interesting people and we'd love to find out if this model actually works. A lot of people have not done very well on that beach, but everybody once in a while somebody succeeds. And we think we can pivot. If we have to pivot away from that channel, we love the story of local, supporting local, going local, buying local. But if that story doesn't work out, I think there are other tales we can tell.
Yeah, and I would, there are some people who've been successful, like Forkfly, great example. Look at what those guys have done with newspapers as partners and see whether or not there's something in their model that you can replicate. And if there's any newspapers in the room, I didn't mean what I said. You're all wonderful.
One of the questions is about app fatigue, right? We've seen that over the last year or two, that people just aren't wanting to load an app for every single business, every single town. So how do you get over that if that's your distribution?
So I would actually argue that's a strength, right? Is that one of the things that happens, a lot of businesses have tried to sort of build their own apps. And you have to be a pretty special business before I really want your app. I might download it once, but I'm going to forget about it. Here we're saying a bunch of merchants combined together in one app that's sort of branded to the community in some way. And then the reason you don't forget about it is because that app wakes up when you walk into the store. You get a push notification or the app itself wakes up. So I've got a lot of apps that were pretty cool the first time I downloaded them. I've never thought of them again, right? But nobody's really reminding me. Maybe I get a push notification, which I probably ignore. But walking into a store and the app tells me, hey, this store is in this program, that to me is interesting. An app that will let me get on the waiting list without going up to the front of the line, that's also very interesting.
So I think app fatigue is a good point, and I think there are two sides to app fatigue. One is the initial download, and two is the active use, right? So I think that it's passive, it's reminding you when you walk into a store, takes care of that second part of the equation. What are some of your other customer or user acquisition strategies?
In terms of end consumers?
Yeah.
That's a great question. We think that it's one of the things that the local media company gives you some really awesome opportunities.
Sure. Because
they can do cross-promotion. And that's our opening thesis is that, they can take their spare ad inventory, morning drive, or whatever it is they're doing and say, hey, we've got this fantastic new local club. They can open up cross-promotional opportunities where they say, this month we're doing a scavenger hunt with these 15 businesses. That actually makes it even more compelling to the merchants if they're doing something like that. It sort of adds an additional benefit beyond just getting this app. You've also got this media weight behind it.
That's good. Any more questions from the judges? We're about out of time. Probably room for one more question if you have it, Randy.
Just a quick one. What else could that technology do in stores? I understand that Bluetooth Low Energy is just emerging, really powerful. What if separate from sort of GPS geolocation, what could you do with that?
There's a lot of stuff, right? And, we've only just begun to think about all the different kinds of things we can do. I think we're focusing on the low-hanging fruit, which is about this very basic communication and presence detection. But really, what it can ultimately do is it can do anything where you cause some other device to wake up and do something, where you have two devices that communicate with each other and accomplish something as a result of that communication. So you can imagine things like doors opening is a sort of trivial example that people use a lot. So I think that, obviously you can do stuff in aisle, right? You could have an auto dealer where you walk up to a car and the app just knows everything about that car. You push a button and say to the dealer, hey, this car on this giant used car lot, that's the one I want to test drive. So they're waiting for you like, hey, we've got the keys for you. We're ready to go. So really when you think about it.
Or create a customized experience for, I think that's a big idea, walking through the door and having someone who actually knows who you are before you're even meeting them, greeting them. Very powerful.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Brian.
Thanks, guys.
Please join me in thanking Brian. Next, we have the team from Upring. If you guys could come on up. I'll remind everyone again about the email address, liftoffawards@bikelsey.com. These flyers are also available at the Reg desk, which has all the instructions and the email address if you want to vote. I apologize, that's not more pervasive, but it's easy to pick these up, and that has the address on it.
How'd you get me up here?
I jumped up.
You're smart.
Whenever you guys are ready.
All right, we're ready. I'm Chris MacDonald. That's Tom DeLuca. We've started a company called Upring, and our first product that's coming to market is a click-to-call product for local media companies to sell. It's white labeled to monetize mobile inventory. We've got a video we want to start with. If you could cue that now, that would be great.
We've been working hard to find new products and services that serve our local advertisers and drive significant revenues for our newspapers. But we are capable of so much more. We now live in a mobile world where consumers and advertisers can be connected by the touch of a finger, anytime, anywhere. The days of clicks, visits, and impressions being the first step on the long road to conversions is over. Click, call, convert, the shortest distance between an ad and its desired outcome in history. Upring exists to enable newspapers to deliver new customers to their SMB advertisers, real customers that make phone calls and walk through doors. Upring brings to market a suite of services specifically built to fill these needs. Our robust white label program enables sales teams to sell mobile, voice, and SMS-based performance marketing solutions to local businesses. Our mobile coupon delivery and redemption program plugs the leaks in the path to purchase, yielding actionable consumer targeting data. Luckily, you have Upring on your team. Put us in the game.
Put us in the game. Put us in the game.
Has everybody seen Rudy? That's the last scene there. So Tom and I have been selling online advertising to SMBs since 1997. We were on the first local sales team for Boston.com, which is the site of the Boston Globe. At the time, it was the biggest regional news site in the world. This was back in the day when we had to go to local businesses and plug our laptops into their phone lines to get on the internet. So we've been in it a while, and now we're in the mobile age, and the impetus for the company is that mobile devices, for the most part, are telephones. I think we've lost sight of that. This is kind of a long quote, but it's saying, it's by Marchex, it's saying that in certain categories, the last sentence is the best. This is particularly true for local businesses where phone calls are second only to store visits as advertising objectives. The old cliche that says that all that local businesses want are phones ringing and doors swinging is true, and it's what our business is built on. So what do? We have a back-end system that can take mobile creative and insert a unique and trackable telephone number. It's not just call tracking, it's pay-per-call advertising. The newspaper reps or local media reps will go out and sell this product. They'll negotiate a pay-per-call rate with the local advertiser, and we do all of the tracking and qualifying of those phone calls. We only deliver qualified phone calls. We qualify them through metrics like how much time they spend online or on the phone with the business. We put in IVRs. Press 1 to talk to a salesperson, 2 to talk to support. If you press 1, you're obviously a new lead. If you press 2, you're an existing customer. So this is not a business model that we invented. Matter of fact, there are several companies represented in this room that are making billions of dollars off of it. But local media companies aren't. They're not in the game. So, what we've done is not rocket science. What we've done is made it easy for local media companies to get in the game and start selling it. Keep going for it. And this is sort of sums it all up. When you're selling, newspapers have spun off these in-house agencies like Gatehouse's Propel and Hearst Local Edge, and they're selling things like reputation management, SEO, SEM, hosting, website building. But those things are pretty far from conversions. They're great services and they're needed. But what we want to do is shorten that distance between the first exposure to an ad and a conversion. And touching a phone number on a mobile phone is it. I think it is the most effective advertising model in history. I don't think it gets much shorter than that. 15 seconds. Real quick, I've got proof of concept. The Dallas Morning News actually did it. I think it was last year. They set out and they did a 4-week test. They limited it to 4 verticals. And the results were that they generated 20 to 50 calls in 1 month for each advertiser that they got, a total of 150 advertisers, at an average of $150 per call in revenue. $1.4 million in annualized revenue in 4 weeks added to their top line. That's just a picture. We're going to do a live demo, but we ran out of time. But the revenue per call can range anywhere from $10 to $1,000. Like this lawyer here will pay $1,000 for every qualified call. I wish I had 10 more minutes to explain it all to you, but the clock has run out. And I think that's about it. Maybe I can tell you more when these guys start drilling me with questions. Oh, the guy Kawasaki.
You'll have time to talk about it with these gentlemen. So how about that, guys?
Sure. So interesting. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head that calls and door swinging. Yeah, we hear that time and time again. Small business, that's what they know. They're sort of analog in the way they look at data, right? The agencies, the bigger guys can look at data, dashboards, and drill down. These guys just want to know, hey, somebody came in, or I talked to you on the phone, and then you actually showed up to look at the sweaters. There's a lot of people, though, doing call-related stuff, including a big company beginning with G that was here on stage earlier today. So how do you differentiate that in the mind of the merchant when they're
Who was that
looking at that?
you just mentioned? What company?
Well, they've got calls in their ads, right? So they're annotating all of their mobile ads now with calls. So
Here's the difference.
Yeah.
You have companies like Marchex that are out there making billions of dollars, I think by now billions of dollars, selling exactly what our product does. But they're not courting local media companies and white labeling the product. We're leveraging their sales team like everybody else who does what we're doing. The companies that are playing in this space have their own sales teams. So that's really the only difference. They're out there doing it. They've proven it works. Newspaper companies aren't doing it. So, we thought we'd build a platform to make it easy for them.
So just to build on what Randy was saying, I mean, I think that I found myself trying to figure out whose problem are you trying to solve? Are you trying to solve the small business's problem, or are you trying to solve the newspaper's problem? And hearing your clarification, you're clearly trying to solve the newspaper's problem of effectively gaining market share in the click-to-call business. So if that's the case, then I want to really understand how you believe that your product can differentiate and make competitive newspapers as selling a sales force for click-to-call. Because I don't see, at least in your presentation, I don't see anything that really provides a true differentiation. It just allows a newspaper to be an also-ran in an already very, very crowded space with a lot of people who are way, way ahead. And then last but not least, I think is the average local small business, as many newspapers are finding as they retreat from agency offerings and product and service offerings, is they're just simply not trusted to be the sales agent for that kind of product. They're trusted to sell maybe the newspaper and its print product, maybe the website, but not really for a lot of the other products and services that they're selling or trying to sell.
Yeah, I think the assumption's false. We're not just trying to solve a newspaper's problem. We're trying to solve both the newspaper and the SMB's problem. SMB's been getting sold clicks, likes, things like that for years. I don't think in the digital age we've yet to provide them with a product that actually makes phones ring and doors swing. Try to draw the line from a click to a conversion for a local business, and it's a pretty long highway, right? This product, it's far down in the sales funnel. People have been doing research on their phone. They get to a place where they have purchase intent, then they come to a newspaper directory or a display ad. Maybe it's contextually targeted, whatever it is. They click on it and they're talking to the business.
I guess we've just seen 2 days of presentations of very many players who are absolutely in the click-to-call space, so I don't understand why.
Isn't that great? 1 year ago, we were here talking about it. But are they in the white label space to provide it to local media players?
Which again, back to the point, is what problem are you trying to solve?
I'm trying to make them money.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And a lot of this isn't, this isn't just something I woke up one morning and said, hey, this sounds pretty cool. Look okay on a PowerPoint. I spent the past 15 months traveling around the country meeting with executive level decision makers at most of the newspapers domestically, also some radio stations, TV stations, and before starting the business, before deciding to get into it. And they're sold on the concept. They want it, they don't want to build it. So they're doing what they're doing with the rest of their SMB services.
So that would be a great part of your presentation if you really had, the agreements and the logos of the partners that you've already put on board, so that, we could validate the fact that, they are willing, ready, and able distribution partner.
As a matter of fact, we have an announcement we'll make soon. That's even more proof of concept. That should, hopefully start a fire. Maybe we'll come back next year and be able to do a full presentation. Have a little bit longer.
Yeah, this is to all the finalists. To be fair, it's tough to fit that into 6 minutes. So, Chris, quick question. Marchex has proven out the model, as you mentioned, but they're not going down market. You're going to an underserved segment. One of the challenges in that segment that Marchex and others are dealing with is that advertisers don't want to pay for calls that didn't go anywhere, as they refer to them as junk calls. So I'm wondering what your analytics look like in terms of call tracking, scrubbing for keywords, or calls that were too short, or any kind of analytics to basically charge for the quality calls.
Yeah, thanks for that question, because it walks right into something I wanted to say, is that Google's new enhanced campaigns allow you to put phone number up on an AdWords and get charged the same CPC as you would for anything else, right? But it doesn't have that filtering. Our back end will filter out pocket dials, butt dials, whatever you want to call them. We have a set of criteria that are very strict, that have to all be passed before it's considered a billable call. And they're flexible, they're negotiable. Everything from time limit to putting in complex IVRs to hours of the day, during business hours or not during business hours. But when we do get qualified calls, they're qualified. The churn rate in this space is less than 5%. So people who get into it and start doing it, it's positive ROI marketing, it's printing money, and they stay in it. It doesn't work in every vertical. It's not a panacea. But in the ones that it does work in, it works well, and they stay on board. It's positive ROI, and they stay there.
We basically built a better mousetrap. I mean, there are other companies out there doing it, the big Googles of the world, but we've done an analysis, and we have some information that we can share with you of how much it costs on Google to do this, and how much it costs with Upring. And it's like a 10-to-1 ratio. So, it's a better mousetrap. And before Google was the best search engine in the world, there were companies like Dogpile and all the other search engines out there. We just do it the best.
So that 5%, less than 5% churn, if you can prove that out, I would also kind of move that up somewhere in your presentation to add to Dave's point, because in the SMB space, the average for a lot of digital products is like 40 or 50% churn, something crazy like that. So if you can prove out that under 5%, lead with that.
Yeah, well, 2 hours ago, this deck was 96 slides long.
Yeah, right.
I have a hard time being concise. So, I'll send you the full-length version if anybody.
Any last questions from you guys before we wrap?
Just one quick question. Let's say you're successful. Any of your investors or any potential investors are going to ask you, how do you build a moat around this, right?
Yeah.
What's the moat? What's the uniqueness?
How do I build the what around
A moat. Let's say you've got this great castle, everybody loves this. What's the moat that protects somebody else from coming in?
Well, the cool thing about, and again, not to sound arrogant or whatever, but I've been in digital media, especially with newspapers, since months after the first banner was served on Hotwire, whatever it was. The moat is that if you do a good job, they tend to stay with you, number one. Number two is this is America. There will be a moat there. I don't know exactly what it will be. Hopefully it'll be loyalty. But competition breeds innovation. Bring it on, I don't know. I see the white label space for services, especially for newspapers, as a market grab. When you grab market share, you don't tend to lose it. Look at Second Street Media. I mean, who doesn't use them as their daily deals platform, really, especially in that second tier of newspapers? They don't tend to switch. That's expensive, and
The moat is building the best product and then staying ahead of the industry. So we have other products in development that are not just about pay for call.
Yeah, Tom was the global vice president of digital marketing for Warner Brothers for almost 10 years.
Yeah, and the localization was something that we ran up against every day. We were spending, multi-million dollars on film campaigns, but we could never tell who exited that movie theater and bought a ticket because they saw an ad online. This is bringing business right to the local level. This is bringing the transaction to the local level. And our second product is specifically about digital transactions, mobile at the local level.
And hopefully that'll create even tighter relationship and a deeper moat. We'll see.
Okay, hand for upring.
Thank you.